Ready to bet smarter? Get sports betting tips straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
I like the Commanders at 3.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
The wise guys were all over Florida last week, and they're against Florida this week. That's not a common pattern.
I think these teams could score a lot. I would look at the over.
I'm very high on Tampa Bay. I think they can go there and they can win this game.
Subscribe for free to Sports by the Book on YouTube. Your winning edge starts now.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though this total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Good morning. Welcome in, everybody. It's Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. VGK opens their season, so I went just the polo route. Alex went the fancy route today with the Marc-Andre Fleury jersey. Had
to represent Marc-Andre Fleury, of course, retiring. And Chris had on the Penguins earlier this
That was last week.
Yeah.
I don't remember which day, but it was last week.
I almost said earlier this month. I'm like, no, it's before that. But about. So yeah, let's go Knights.
Might have technically been September.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. It's all merging together now, Alex. As we hit the we're gonna have double digits in October on Friday, which is kind of crazy at this point.
And NBA is gonna be starting soon, and we're gonna have all 4 major sports going.
Good luck to us on that. We'll just go with that. Yeah. I'll save my comments on the decision too for a different time. All right, Alex, let's get into it. By the way, loaded show today. Bruce Marshall is going to be in studio in about 15 minutes from now. Looking forward to that. We have a list of about a half dozen games, and that doesn't even include Mizzou, Alabama, and Oregon and Indiana. So we might touch a lot with Bruce. And then your friend who we've had on in the past, Alex, Talk Media, Terrell Emerson will be joining us as well. We'll get his thoughts on Game 3 of the WNBA Finals tonight in Phoenix. Remember, best of 7, so the Aces can't close it out tonight. And also we'll get his thoughts on UNLV after starting conference play 1-0 in the Mountain West. They play Air Force this week. Also, the Mountain West seems very wide open, so we'll talk to Emerson about that a little bit later in the show around 10:30.
I'm looking forward to it because some topics that we haven't hit on a whole lot. So really want to break down the WNBA and then Mountain West as well. And like what I saw from the Rebels last week at Wyoming, let's see if they can keep it going and see what he saw from them that really helped them secure that win.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. No hail here, at least, Alex.
Yes.
No hail, which is good on our end. All right. We are going to start the show with our NFL top 10s, our power ratings. You're going to go first, which is good because I still might need another 5 minutes to figure mine out. I don't know if it was for you or not this week. This was the hardest week I can remember because I made a mistake also. Even though I like the Jags to cover on Monday, I put my power ratings together with thinking, all right, Kansas City's going to win. We'll be able to move Jacksonville a little bit. We'll be able to move Kansas City up. Then, of course, Jacksonville wins the game outright. And as well, why are they Jacksonville in my top 10? So we got to edit this again. I had an extraordinarily difficult time, and I left the team out that's in your top 5, which I very well may have wrong. But it was as hard. This was as hard of a week as possible for me.
It's funny because you asked me last week, did I feel good about where the teams were in my power ratings, if I knew the teams? And I kind of said yes, but that was not true. After this weekend, I finally feel very confident in the power ratings 1 through 32. I like the top 10. I like the gap between certain amount, or the gap between certain teams and the amount between them. Top 10 is very tight. So I can see why it was tougher for you. But yeah, it felt like it fell into place very good, very easily yesterday when I was going through it for a second time. So I'll get right into it. For a couple weeks in a row now, I have the same number 1 team, and now I do have a nice little 2.5 point gap between 1 and then 2 and 5. It's about a 0.2 difference to a 0.3 difference between these next teams, and I'll throw 6 in there too. Pretty tight for them. So the Lions, number 1. I feel like this is the best overall team. All 3 units are playing really well. Jared Goff playing good football again. So Lions come in at number 1. Number 2 is actually the Philadelphia Eagles. They were number 3 last week. It's not that I moved them up, but I didn't have to move them. I was on Denver last week. I think they lost to a good team. They did have the lead going into that fourth quarter, so I didn't really touch my number with the Eagles. Now, I did move a couple teams down, and that's how the Eagles moved up, but the Packers stayed the same. Bye week for them. They are at number 3. Number 4 is the Buffalo Bills. I had the Bills about a 9-point favorite going into that game on Sunday, so had to make the adjustment because even looking at the box score and everything, I mean, they lost that game to the Patriots. I wanted to get closer to where the line was, which closed about 7.5. So adjustments for both teams after Sunday Night Football. Washington Commanders move up to 5. I have a feeling this might be the team you're talking about. Impressive win for me. Going to Los Angeles and beating the Chargers. I think the Commanders are the real deal. Showed what they can do when they have Jaden Daniels healthy as well. So Commanders, I also think their defense is better than people think. And we've just seen spurts of it throughout the season. But I do think they are a top 10 team, have them at 5 right now. The Colts moved all the way up to 6. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I was kind of slow to move them. Last week, they were 10 for me. No, they were 11. They didn't even make my top 10. But now I made the adjustment. I think I moved 3 points this week for the Colts after that 40-point win over the Las Vegas Raiders. Next up, the Denver Broncos moved from 8 to 7. Beat the Eagles. They've kind of just been in this range of 6 through 10 throughout the entire year for me. The Rams moved from 5 to 8. Pretty brutal loss against the Niners. I think the Niners are a good team, but didn't adjust them too much. Just, I think these other teams have kind of jumped over them, including Washington, the Colts, and the Broncos. The Buccaneers come in at 9, kind of been in that spot for a while, between 8 and 10 for the Bucs. And then number 10, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. And right behind them is the Los Angeles Chargers. Very concerned with their O-line and moving forward. So I did adjust the Chargers a little bit more. The Chiefs, if you look at the box score, I mean, they outgained the Jags. They won the turnover battle. Their biggest problem was penalties. So I didn't want to over adjust Kansas City.
So we have the same number 1, and I don't even think it's a debate at this point. And it sure looks like week 1 in Green Bay was a Green Bay defense that's electric at home, plus the Lions figuring it out with their first game with the new coordinators. And since then, you can throw mine up, Sean. They have been awesome. They have been the best team by margin. And right now, this is what it is. They are the number 1 team in the NFL. And quite frankly, I don't think there's an argument for anyone else. Even if Philadelphia held on against Denver, or Buffalo had still found a way to win that game on Sunday night, I was going to move Detroit up anyway to number 1. They just have been better than the two previously last undefeated teams, especially over the last 3 weeks. I had a very hard time. As you can tell, I had a brutally hard time with this week, Alex, because pretty much everybody lost at the top of the board. Green Bay didn't play and is coming off a loss to Cleveland and a performance where they gave up 40, and they were lucky to get out of there with a tie in Dallas. So two teams that we expect to be non-playoff teams, they struggled against. But I went Philly 2 because even though the numbers are ugly, I'm still betting on that talent to win out in the end. And even though I don't love Sirianni, Petula has really struggled as the play caller so far. Vic Fangio's still awesome, even though he had a bad second half against Denver, or really just a bad fourth quarter against Denver. Philly's still at 2. Buffalo's at 3. Allen and Mahomes have separated themselves from everybody else at this point for 1-2 quarterback and wise, and Buffalo just think is a little bit better constructed than Kansas City at the moment, so they're 3. Green Bay at 4. It's funny. I actually kind of like the teams that are lower on the board at the current moment than most of these teams that are higher, except for Detroit. Green Bay at 4. I kept the Rams at 5. I think that was just if you look at the box score, the Rams dominated the game. It was just sleepy start in a game that they didn't show up when the Niners didn't have any, they didn't show up. You can't do that in the NFL. In a 14-0 hole, and if Kyron Williams doesn't fumble going in, they win the game anyway. So I have them at 5. Chiefs at 6. This was actually the hardest team because they'd really turned the corner the previous 2 weeks, and then they play a team that isn't a current bottom feeder. And unfortunately for Baltimore, we have to call them a bottom feeder at the current moment. They lose. And they're 0-3 in one-score games. They're 0-3 against teams that are capable of making the playoffs right now. Not good. Not good for Kansas City, but I keep them at 6 because of Mahomes and Reed, still number 1 quarterback, number 1 coach to me. Jags at 7. They're good. I don't think there's any denying it, even though I do have questions about that defense. They're so turnover happy on defense that at some point when they stop turning teams over, I'm concerned about their ability to win. Number 8, I have Indianapolis. They were going to go higher, but Jacksonville ended up finding a way to beat Kansas City. So pop to number 8 for Indy. Denver's at 9. Tampa's at 10. Washington's at 11. I essentially throw these 3 teams in a hat for me, and I'm okay with it. I want to talk about the Bucs for a second because we were both higher on, I think, the rest of the market. You especially were higher on them going into going into the year than the rest of the market. They are 4-1. They've won all 4 of their games with a score on their final possession. They are very injured. Baker is playing at a super high level. I get that. But I am a little bit concerned with them that they are having some very high-end luck to begin this year. That is the only thing that concerns me with Tampa. Denver, they showed me again. Their defense played great against the high-end team, and Bo Nix played awesome in the fourth quarter. That showed me a lot. They should beat the Jets by a lot in London this upcoming week. So there you go. Again, this was far and away the hardest power rating I've had. Even harder than the college power ratings this week. I really had no idea what to do past number 1 this week with Detroit, Alex.
You know what's funny is I don't feel like the bottom 10 are that hard right now.
Bottom 10's pretty easy right now.
To figure out in the NFL, but it is tough at the top. I'm interested to see with the Jags and the Colts and see how these teams do and how real they are. I know we can't take too much from the power score because some of the lopsided games, but right now the Colts are right behind the Lions with the highest power score for me with the exercise that Chris Andrews taught me that I do every week and how they exceeded expectations compared to the line. So we'll see, but the Lions are catching points this week, Jeff, at Kansas City.
This is an extraordinarily difficult week in the NFL where early on, the only thing I like at the current moment is laying 7 on a neutral with Denver. That is because I think the Jets are dead at this point. You look at it, if you went into the year, the Colts are a touchdown against Arizona this week. If you're going into the year, it's what? But Kyler Murray's questionable this week. The Cardinals are coming off of might be the most inexplicable loss in the Survivor era, which is 2020. Previous, I know Survivor pools are plenty before that, but they take it on a different level out here once Circa came into the game. Like Jacksonville, Seattle, like that is such a confusing game this week, right? Like Jags are coming off a monumental win, but that's a pretty good like letdown spot. But Seattle's whole secondary is injured, so like, and Seattle's coming off a gut punch loss.
Yes.
Like there are so many confusing games. And then you mentioned Kansas City is a 2.5-point favorite against Detroit at home. And it's like, wow, that feels like Detroit's the right side, but I know what happens if I bet them. Kansas City wins by a field goal. Like we know what happens there. Also, by the way, Joe Flacco is going to start for the Bengals this week, and that's up to 14 now in that game against Green Bay. So there you go on that.
You should put that Denver -7 on your whiteboard, because last week Jeff said to me, the only bet I really like is the Carolina Panthers. Going
1 hour.
There you go.
Lucky. Yeah. I got there. Yeah. No, I'll put that on the whiteboard on Friday afternoon. I'll actually make sure I have a whiteboard on Friday afternoon this week. Football Frenzy, by the way. That's right. That's what we're talking about, noon on Fridays, as always here on the Sports by the Book channel. All right. Real quick, before our friend Bruce Marshall hops on set with us, 2 pretty ugly football games tonight in college football. By the way, 49 consecutive days with a football game starting tonight. So that's we're into that, Alex, where we get to just around Thanksgiving and we have football every single day until then. Middle Tennessee hosts Missouri State. What an awful game. It just tells you how bad Middle Tennessee is, that they're a home dog to Missouri State.
Right.
2 here at the South Point. There's 1.5, 49.5. Alex, I'll just be very quick with both of these games. I'm staying the hell away from both of these. I mean, these are 4. UTEP is the best team by margin tonight. Even though Vasco comes back for Liberty, so maybe they're a little bit better. But this is, this Missouri State Middle Tennessee game tonight.
It would only be Missouri State for me. I made them a bigger favorite than 2. That just shows you how bad Middle Tennessee is. But I don't like to lay points with bad teams, and Missouri State is not a good team either. The other thing is Jacob Clark, their starting quarterback, is questionable. Now, the backup, Deuce Bailey, has played a little bit, 7-17, 41% for him. And it's a pretty big difference. Jacob Clark's completing 65% of his passes, 8-3 touchdown to interception ratio. So they need him. I would look out for that if you are going to bet this game. Nothing on the total. I think that is, that total's just right there. And then I'm with you. I lean to UTEP getting points here. I am a little bit nervous. Liberty's kind of in desperation mode right now. I mean, 1-4, if I'm not mistaken, and a loss already in conference. So that is not like this Liberty team, but lean to UTEP, the better defense. I mean, Liberty's given up 6.2 yards per play to their opponents compared to 4.8 for El Paso. So that's it. No, I'm probably not going to bet either of these either. I'll be watching a lot of baseball.
Yeah, CUSA Wednesday, not particularly great here on the card. All right, we take a short break. When we get back, Bruce Marshall, we got a handful of games to go through with him, and then after Bruce, we'll have Terrell Emerson. So a lot of guests here on the show today when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is high stakes and wild cards. This is family and tradition. This is everything on the line. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now. LVMS.com.
We're back in at Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White, and now joining us, our good friend Bruce Marshall in the flesh here on a Wednesday, as he always is here. Bruce, we're happy you could be with us today. It was a game time decision, but you're here, which is good. Let's just dive right in. And don't worry, we'll get to your shirt in a little bit.
Okay.
Let's start with a different shade of orange, though. Clemson on the road in Chestnut Hill to take on Boston College. Boy, it has gone really badly for Boston College. After last year, O'Brien seemingly turned it around pretty quickly in year one, but it has gone completely backwards. A loss at Stanford. They got annihilated last week at Pitt. I thought that was actually a pretty reasonable side, getting a touchdown with Boston College, and nope, not even close on that one. It's a 2-touchdown line here, Bruce. 14 now in this one. Boston College getting it at home against Clemson.
Yeah, I can kind of see these two. Obviously, Boston College is headed down here, and any of that new coach buzz they had last year with Bill O'Brien, it was a decent year. It's evaporated, like you said. That was a horrible effort last week against Pitt. Bad a couple weeks ago against Stanford. Man, the only win, I think, is against Fordham in the opener. And they've got defensive injuries. They had depth issues coming into the season. Bill O'Brien played 3 quarterbacks last week. He pulled Lonergan out. He went with Grayson James and then another quarterback. They can't run the ball. It's a bad situation there at BC. I actually think Clemson might be able to make something of this season. Give Dabo credit for taking his foot off the accelerator last week. They could have scored 80 against North Carolina, and I don't think he wanted to embarrass Belichick like that, but 28-3, these sorts of teams Clemson can handle. Like I said earlier, I'm not sure Clemson's great, but the core of a pretty good team is still here. They can still salvage something from this season. In fact, who knows? I mean, the ACC is pretty wide open. They could run the table the rest of the way. Not out of the realm of possibility. I'll lay it here with Clemson. I think they win this handily, and I think Boston College is a complete go against right now.
We just brought up Pittsburgh and that big win over BC. Now they're taking on Florida State, coming off of that tough loss against Miami. What are you doing here? Florida State 10.5 at home.
Mason Heinschel. That is the name of the quarterback, the freshman at Pitt. And
he was great last week.
He was great. And, Pat Narduzzi was kind of coy about this kid. I think he was worried about somebody coming and pulling him away from Pitt. This was the only Power 4 school that offered this kid a scholarship. He is a true freshman from a small town in Ohio. And Narduzzi apparently thinks this kid is going to be really good. He pulled Eli Holstein. Now, Holstein had been making some mistakes, and he sort of surprised everybody going with Heinschel at the start, but he looked so poised out there. And we've seen Pitt rise up in these sorts of occasions before. Listen, I've last week, that was a little bit of a misleading score for Florida State. They were well beaten in that game against Miami. I've told you before, I think this is an overrated team. Everybody reacting to that Alabama game. Everybody reacting to the stats they put up against East Texas A&M and Kent State, 600 yards per game, whatever. They are not that good. And I think this is going to be a scrap. And there are still people talking about, well, maybe Florida State can make the playoff. Well, maybe Pitt can make the playoff too if we're going to be going that way, if you're going to run the rest of the table the rest of the way. Plus 11, I'm in there with Pitt.
Up next, Bruce, let's go to the MAC. Miami of Ohio and Akron here. Big line. Redhawks laying 11 on the road here in Akron in one of the many intra-Ohio battles in this conference.
Yes. Miami was a beautiful school, by the way. My godson went there. It's pristine, just outside of Cincinnati. It's really a neat place in Oxford. But they're going on the road to Akron, which actually has a nice stadium now. This Infocision is nice. They used to play in the old Rubber Bowl, right where they used to park the blimp out there in Akron, because that's Goodyear's hometown. But Joe Moorhead did win a game last week, and he's won 2 this year, and they beat Central Michigan, so I give Akron credit for making a little bit of progress. Now, they did not face Miami-O last year. Years previous to that, Miami-O dominated, and I think we might see a little uprising from the Redhawks here. Dequan Finn is back. We watched that UNLV game a few weeks ago. I'm convinced had he not gone out, they win that game against UNLV, and what a disastrous play. He throws a tip pass, goes for a pick 6, and he gets crushed, knocked out. That was like one of the worst plays of the year, but he's back. That was a nice win last week against Northern Illinois. They were down 14-0, fought their way back 25-14, and this is about the time of season we've seen Miami really go on runs the last few years. They have dominated the MAC, and I think they can handle this team. Asking Akron to win 2 games in a row. They did it right at the end of last year, but this is still pretty foreign for Akron. I'm going to ride Miami O for a while here. I know this looks like a pretty big bite to take, laying that many points in the road, but I'll do it. Solid defense. Finn is back. I think the best is yet to come from the Redhawks.
I'm looking forward to this game. 171, 172 rotation number. UCLA, they benefited from the travel against Penn State last week. Can USC, coming off of that loss to Illinois, but a bye week, of course, taking on Michigan here, 2.5-point favorite.
Yes. USC, I wonder, and we've seen this since they got into the Big Ten, these sort of line of scrimmage teams in the Big Ten have given SC problems. In fact, they haven't beaten them. SC has lost all these games, mostly on the road. Now, this one is at home in the Coliseum. But Michigan's got a little something about it. Now, Bryce Underwood has got a little bit more experience now. He's made a few starts on the road. They won that game at Nebraska, very big a couple of weeks ago. They have looked pretty good since that Oklahoma game. And watching SC in person a couple of weeks ago against Michigan State and then the Illinois game, I'm not sure this defense is all that much better than it has been the last couple of years. And that's been the problem SC has faced against these sorts of teams. Notre Dame's after this. I mean, SC season all of a sudden is ready to disappear in front of them, but they have trouble with these sorts of teams. And I think Michigan comes into the Coliseum and wins. Listen, Michigan won at the Big House last year. They beat Alabama in a bowl game. They won at Nebraska, so they're used to winning these games on the road. I'm going to take Michigan.
Small dog on the road here for this one. Really, honestly, a low-key awesome day on Saturday where we got those 2 big ones in the middle of the day. But boy, what a good day for college football on Saturday. Now, this one maybe not the best one on the card, but Chris, we can go to Corvallis, another one of these just wonky road trips. Yeah. But this time it's not Oregon State on the wonky road trip. It's Wake Forest who makes the cross-country trek from Winston-Salem to Corvallis. Wake is a 3-point favorite. You mentioned Jake Dickert last week. Comes over from Wazoo to coach Wake Forest. They are significantly better than I think anyone could have imagined this year. A nice win last week on the road in Blacksburg against Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Dickert, I told you, I really like him, and I talked to him at the ACC Media Day in Charlotte. He's a really good guy. He worked for Craig Bohl earlier in his career. He speaks very highly of Bohl, and he learned a lot of that stuff. Bohl's Wyoming team is very fundamentally sound. And we saw his Washington State teams always punch above their weight, and we're seeing Wake Forest do that again. He's got Robbie Ashford playing like a real quarterback now. He talked about a quarterback who's been bouncing around the map. He looks like he's finally found a home. I mean, they should have beat Georgia Tech. They did beat Virginia Tech, which surprised me last week. Now, I know this is an odd scheduling game, and I have some guys out there saying, look, you got Wake off of 2 ACC games, and they're flying all the way across the country. I know it is unorthodox, but I will guarantee you, Dickert's telling these guys, look, if you guys want to play in a bowl game, and they could, we're going to have trips like this. Let's embrace this trip out to Portland. It's a great airport. The city's not so great, but the airport's great. We'll see Mount Hood. We'll drive down the Willamette Valley. It'll be a great experience for you guys. And the other side, Oregon State is really in trouble right now. They have just made some staff changes. They're 0-6. The AD, Scott Barnes, has come out with a letter to the booster base that is apologizing for the season. Guys are looking to get in the portal. And frankly, I don't mind Oregon State and Washington State struggling the way they have wrecked the Mountain West and domino effect. A lot of other leagues impacted by this new Pac-12 thing when they should have just joined the Mountain West, and we would have been spared the Big West and the CUSA and all these leagues getting a WCC getting. That's another subject. Wake Forest will win this game. Just play the eye test here. Don't worry about the scheduling. Better team versus a team going nowhere.
All right, let's go to the big one. Red River rivalry here. If we would have said one team is 5-0 and one team is 3-2 coming into this game, you would have definitely thought those records were switched. But Oklahoma is undefeated. John Mateer still questionable. We don't know. They're saying he might play. What are you looking at in this one? The line's been everywhere from Texas 2.5 now to Texas 1.
I might really regret this, Alex, but I'm going with Texas, and I did pull out this shirt, so why not? And I know, Arch, this has been the biggest false alarm since the Comet Kahutek. Now, you'd have to have been alive in the 70s. And
I was going to say, you got us both on that one, Bruce.
Yeah. But where false alarms go, that was a big one. But I'm not ready to throw in the towel on Arch yet. And listen, he's had games at Ohio State, the Big Horseshoe, down in the Swamp. He's been in two of the toughest places to play. And I know it hasn't been working that well, but now they're back in more friendly territory. They'll split the crowd at the Cotton Bowl. You mentioned Mateer. This is interesting. This would be a very quick recovery. When it was thought to be a month he'd be out from the broken hand. We'll see. Hawkins played in this game last year, and they got smoked 34-3 by Texas. He put up some decent numbers. It was only Kent State last week. He did win that game at Auburn last year when he didn't do much, really. Lost the game against Navy in the bowl when he started. Bottom line is they can do much less with him at quarterback than they can with Mateer. But even if Mateer plays, something tells you this is like Texas's season is completely on the line here right now. They could still salvage something from this season, maybe even get involved in the a lot of detours in the SEC. A lot of teams could still lose. So this is really do or die for Texas. I think they come out and win. And I think Arch will start showing a little something more this week. Maybe an under here, too. That Oklahoma defense is good, but I'm going to take Texas.
Yeah, I thought the under, even at 43, which is a comically low number for this game, where historically speaking, we've seen games played in the 80s. We've seen it all in down at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. But you brought up a good point there with Texas, where this is it. You lose this game, it's over. Like, they would need a huge confluence of events if they lose this game in order to make it to Atlanta and then win the SEC championship game, which would likely be their only path into the college football playoff at that point. You win this game, even with how brutal, and Chris Felica brought this up with us yesterday, like, the SEC is insane. It is insane. Everyone's schedule, other than Ole Miss, at this rate, you're basically playing like an NFL caliber schedule. And even though, and it's part of the reason there's no teams that we look at as pure top teams, because they're all pretty much, except for maybe 2 or 3 teams, Kentucky and Arkansas and depending on what you think of Mississippi State, every single other team in this league, and I guess South Carolina too, because they've been a little bit down from what we expected. But the other 12, like, all 12 of them are capable of beating the other team. We saw last week, Florida. I mean, that game was, I know it ended up being a closer game on the scoreboard. Bruce, that was not a close game last week in Gainesville.
I mean, right now we got 6 SEC teams that would theoretically be in the top 12 right now.
Yeah.
And so that shows you how many banana peels there are. It's still there for Texas, but they better start now.
One more game before we get over to some bigger games that you may not have plays on, but we go to the islands next. We get Hawaii and Utah State. This is actually a low-key big game in the Mountain West. Utah State's been a little bit better than I think anyone imagined this year. Hawaii, again, you get the big win to begin the year. You come to the mainland and you beat Air Force a few weeks ago. This is a low-key important game in this conference. 1.5 with the Aggies, or make it 1 with the Aggies on the road down there against Hawaii.
Yeah, and then there were 3. I'm talking about teams undefeated against the number this season, and that would be Memphis, La Tech, and Utah State. They are 5-0 against the number. Now, caution in this game. I want to make sure Bryson Barnes is going to play. There's some question about that at quarterback. He got knocked out of the Vanderbilt game. They've had a week off since. Conover, the backup, who had been at BYU and had been at Arizona State, hadn't played too much, but he did come off the bench and look good in the fourth quarter against Vanderbilt. Bronco Mendenhall thinks they can function well with Conover at quarterback. Not quite as mobile as Barnes, but they're hopeful Barnes is going to play. I would want Barnes in there to make Utah State a recommendation this week, but I'll go ahead and along those lines, yes, I'm going to take Utah State. I love what Bronco has done there. He's really, I thought coming into the season that this would be a team to watch in the Mountain West. A lively offense, very competitive. And we'll see about Hawaii. I mean, they've had a week off. They did win that game, the shootout against Air Force. The quarterback came back after missing a couple of games, and he's put up some pretty good numbers. But I think Utah State, with Barnes in there, is a team that could be a real factor in the Mountain West race. And like I said, they've covered all their games thus far. It's the U-Tags for me with an asterisk. I want to make sure Barnes plays.
You know, I just want to bring up for both of you, actually, here in the Mountain West, where Boise is down, even though we saw this 2 years ago and they still won the league. San Diego State is significantly better than I think any of us imagined. Where, I mean, they got blasted by Wazoo, and now they're 4-1. UNLV, we expected them to be good. I think they're a fortunate 5-0, but they are 5-0 at that. We could end up with some really weird stuff over the last 2 months of this season and again, the Mountain West Championship game is at whoever has the best conference record.
And New Mexico's been better than we thought. And I would watch Air Force now too, because Zarka looks like he could do it at quarterback. And when they get a quarterback who can make things happen, I don't think Air Force is done for the season yet either.
Let's look at some bigger games.
Okay.
Let's start my alma mater.
Here we go.
This is as big of a game that's been in Columbia in a long while. We're talking over a decade when Mizzou is making back-to-back SEC title games out of the SEC East in 2013 and 2014. Bama was, that was a gritty win and an even grittier cover against Vanderbilt on Saturday. Bruce, I said this to Alex yesterday when I came back, or on Monday even remote. I'm floored this number's this short. Like, I thought Bama was going to be like 5, 4.5. We're 3 across the board here with Bama on the road. I get that Mizzou's 5-0. I get that they've played well. I was really hoping to get a nice juicy money line price on the Tigers. That is just not the case here.
Yeah, I kind of was too. And it's taken some of the fun, the value out of this. I mean, I thought, wow, I was going to be really excited. We get 5-6 with Mizzou. No, I mean, the marketplace really respects Mizzou and what Eli has done there. Now, they haven't beat Bama since they've come into the SEC. I think I remember the last time they beat Alabama. Shows you how old I am. 1968 Gator Bowl. Roger Worley, defensive back, great defensive back. I think he returned a punt for a TD. And anyway, that's Dan Devine, Bear Bryant. That's long ago. But Eli, listen, Pribula has come in there really working well at quarterback. He's glad he's out of Penn State, I think, right now. And Ahmad Hardy, this is one of the best portal ads of the season, liberated from ULM, and now he's going to be one of the nation's leading rushers here at Mizzou. This is going to be tough, though, because Alabama looks like they're putting some things together. And, yeah, that was a brutal non-cover. Like me, maybe you too. Sounds like if you had Vanderbilt last week.
That's brutal.
But Bama hung in there, and Ty Simpson is now moving up the chart there in the Heisman rankings. And something tells me that now that they've got that win on the road at Georgia, this had been where they've found the banana peels away from Tuscaloosa the last 2 years for DeBoer, but something good might be happening right now. And I know Mizzou's got a couple of decent wins, Kansas and South Carolina, but those are, lower tier bowl teams. Now you're facing a real playoff caliber team. 3 is too few. I think Alabama probably there. Though I'm with you, I'm going to be cheering for Mizzou because I like Mizzou.
Let's see what number we get to. Let's see what the market does with this. I'd love to see a little more, but boy, when I saw it get to 3, I was not happy. Let's just say that. Alex.
I'm going to shift it over to some Big Ten games here. Now, this is a big one for Kirk Cignetti because we saw last year, as good as they were, he struggled against these high-end teams. Going to Oregon, catching 7.5, Indiana, Oregon. Now, I do think Indiana is better with Fernando Mendoza than they even were last year. What do you think in this one? Favorite or which way are you leaning here?
I'm leaning to the Hoosiers.
Okay.
And Wes Reynolds did not make me say that. But he might be going up there.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Cignetti. He's 16, 17, and 2 straight up at Indiana since he got there. You're right. Those 2 games they lost last year, they were actually playing Ohio State pretty well for a while in that game. Then just it got out of hand, and then Ohio State started to roll late. Notre Dame had that 99-yard touchdown run from Love in the playoff game. I don't think Indiana was that outclassed in that game. I like Mendoza a lot. Like I've said before, he reminds me of Bernie Kosar. The same sort of quarterback, same sort of poise in the Heisman race. They had a week off last week, so did Oregon. Dante Moore's in the Heisman race now. I don't want to downgrade the Penn State win. That's still big time to go into Happy Valley and win in a whiteout night, even if Penn State lost to UCLA last week. But I still think Indiana does everything well. They run, they can pass. I like this quarterback a lot. He's an NFL quarterback they've got. The defense is fine. And I think this is not going to be an easy test for Oregon. I'm going to take points. I don't know if Indiana can win, but 7.5 is enough to get me very interested.
Ginormous game across the board now with this one.
To both of you, I made this total higher, closer to 59. Now, that is not playing against high-end defenses. Is there any reason to stay off of the over with anything you've seen from either defense? I think about Oregon and Penn State that first half makes me a little bit nervous, but
that would make me a little nervous just because that game was really slow, and then amazing. It got to 54 at the end. I'd be a little nervous. Okay. I don't disagree, but
it's those big games, right? You lean to the unders and but
I have no idea. I have no idea because what version are we gonna? Is Indiana gonna get bogged down like they did in Iowa City?
Yeah.
Or is Oregon's defense really not that good? Like, I'm going to learn more about Oregon's defense more so than anything in this game. I actually trust Indiana's defense in this game. I actually do. I do too. Yeah. It would be more of just like, let's say what it is, which kind of leads me to saying I like the points, but I don't think I do. Weird game more so than anything. Will be an in-game game more so than anything. He's Bruce Marshall, CBS Sports Line. Of course, Alex White's biggest competition in the RJ for the college football contest.
We got to step it up a little. I got to get up there again.
Gradual improvement. That's all.
Me too. Me too. Tough couple weeks.
It's been a very funky 3 weeks in college. I don't know why. Just these last 3 weeks have felt very, very off in comparison to where we're usually at this point in the year. So. But that might just be because, you know what? I have one more question for you.
Okay.
The portal and everything, we talk NIL, all the stuff. This college season in the way of just betting has felt a lot more NFL-y than even the NFL has, Bruce. This is probably what we have to get used to moving forward, right?
I think so. I think so. And I think it's going to get crazier the second half of the season. And this happened some last year too, but I go back to a team like Oregon State. I guarantee you, every guy who's got eligibility left at Oregon State is looking at the portal right now.
Yeah.
And at the end of the season, players, it used to be when coaches and staffs and assistants were thinking there's going to be a change, they start to network by the end of the second half of the season. Players the concentration level could change as they start perusing where they're going to land next year. It's a different world in college football, and you're right, it does feel a little NFL-ish.
Great point, though. Look out for those teams that
going down.
The concentration and where,
Well, UCLA may be the antithesis after that stunner, even though that probably is more a one-off more so than anything.
We'll see.
Hey, Amali Alva looked awesome. Like, genuinely looked awesome
genuinely
in that game against Penn State. All right, Bruce, we'll let you go. Bruce Marshall, CBS Sports Line, every Wednesday with us here on Sports by the Book. Bruce, thank you.
Thank you.
We will see Bruce next Wednesday. Coming up next, we got baseball. We got Terrell Emerson. We got Vegas-related things. We got plenty to do here on Sports by the Book.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team that the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is high stakes and wild cards. This is family and tradition. everything on the line. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now. LVMS.com.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. I have my headphones on, so that can only mean one thing. We got a guest in now, Terrell Emerson, Talk That Talk Media with us right now. Terrell, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Let's start with what's going on in Phoenix tonight. Game 3 WNBA Finals. We haven't talked a lot of the WNBA this year, but the Aces, again, that long winning streak carried them into the postseason, and here they are leading the finals 2-0 in a year that looked very much lost not that long ago over Phoenix here. The Mercury are a 4.5-point favorite in this game 3. Total 163.5. Terrell, what have you seen in this series from Vegas, and what do you expect here again? And now a best of 7 instead of a best of 5 in the WNBA Finals.
I mean, this group has grown in its ability to take a punch. And I know that's kind of cliche in sports, but we've really watched it with this Aces group, right? You kind of just talked about it a little bit ago, Jeff, right? This group was 12-13 at one point. This group was 14 at one point. And now this team is 2 wins away from its 3rd WNBA championship in 4 seasons. So this group has kind of been battle tested, right? This group has shown resiliency all season long, and I think that's something that I think you could say early in the season you wasn't really sure if it was going to develop when you were watching this team up close, right? But I will say, in watching this team up close, that team never wavered. This team never had a doubt, and the fact this team is 2 wins away from another chip shouldn't really shock too many people.
We know best of 7s going down 0-3. It's a tough hole to get out of, and we've only seen it in baseball. So what do you expect from this Mercury team here? I can tell they are being bet on. It went from 3 to now 4.5 in this game 3.
I'm trying to figure out what to say here and not get in trouble, right? But I do feel like with the W, anything is possible. That's just considering what we saw last season, right? And here's the thing: if I'm being completely honest, this game 3, I expected this series to go 6. That's what I expected, just going into it. So you got to figure Phoenix is going to get one of these 2 at home, if not both at home. I think we could see a much more physical game in game 3. I think that's something that, again, the Aces are going to have to respond to. The Aces are going to have to get punched in the mouth and respond to that. And we'll see. We'll see how it looks tonight. I do think this is obviously, as Alex kind of just pointed out, this is obviously Phoenix's best shot to stay alive in this series. But I do like Vegas tonight. In all honesty, my gut is leaning toward Vegas, but I do probably have the Aces doing something that they haven't done in the first 2 championships and possibly open up the championship in game 5. Back on his home.
You cover the Aces very close. I just want to ask, because we know Becky Hammon is one of the best coaches in mentally preparing her team for as much as she possibly can. Has it been talked about a lot of what to expect now going from best of 5 to best of 7?
To be honest with you, and this is what's like, it hasn't really been said too much this year, right? But last season, the locker room will keep reiterating, we're professional athletes, right? We're professional athletes. I don't think much has to be said. I really don't. I mean, it's 1st to 4. And that's kind of what Becky has been saying, right? Series 1, she said 1st to 2. And then series number 2, she said 1st to 3. Right now, she's saying the exact same thing as 1st to 4. So it's not really too much more hammering home that Becky Hammon has to do. I think we all know her a little bit, and she does enough of that during the regular season.
Terrell, I want to go over to UNLV and the wide open Mountain West all of a sudden. UNLV hosts Air Force, who is winless in the conference, but at least has shown some ability to put up points this year. What are your thoughts on UNLV? Undefeated, 5-0, obviously a great start, but it has not been the straightest of lines to this 5-0 start for the Rebs.
Not even, right? And people thought I was doing a little bit too much maybe 3 weeks into the season when I was like, hey, can we have a conversation about this defense? And people kind of want to talk about the turnovers and things like that. But a lot of those turnovers, while they are great, they're ending long drives, right? And I mean, we can go back to the Idaho State game. That team put up 31 points. We understand what Jordan Cook is, right? Or what he could be. We do understand that. But I believe the week after that, I believe it was Sam Houston. There were 2 long scores by Sam Houston on 4th and 6 and 4th and 1, I believe. And that's just not what you see from a good defense, right? And I think that's UNLV's test this year. I think the offense is going to have to not turn the ball over, but I think whether this team wins and loses games, how far this team goes, I think it is going to depend on Paul Gunther and that defense. I think these guys have made big plays, and I think this defense is kind of littered and sprinkled with playmakers, and that's what Paul has at his disposal. I just think the small details on third down, fourth down, short yardage plays, not getting caught sleeping on the first play of the game, not getting caught sleeping on the first play of the drive. Those are the things that are going to have to happen, right? And then if I can, for maybe 30 seconds, I'll kind of point to Air Force. Jeff, you kind of just mentioned it. Mm-hmm. They're throwing the ball now. And I thought I was going crazy when I was looking at the stat sheet. I was like, this program doesn't throw the football. So I don't know how UNLV is going to react to that. I do think UNLV gets the win. I do think UNLV gets the win in a pretty big way. I don't know that Air Force's offense doesn't have some success against this defense.
That is a very good point. And Boise gave up 37 to this Air Force offense. And that kind of leads me to my question. Is Boise still the best team in the Mountain West, in your opinion? Or is it the Rebels, or is it another team?
Oh, such a tough, because when you look at these teams play, right, your gut tells you UNLV. At least a lot of people's guts tell them UNLV, mine included. I do think when it comes to sports, sometimes you have to address that boogeyman in your closet. And I think for UNLV, that's Boise State. So I think Boise State still is looking at UNLV like, not only do they have to beat us, but they have to come here and do it. So I do think it'll be interesting. I do think UNLV is the better team. I do think UNLV is the best team in the Mountain West. I do think UNLV still has a couple of hurdles to climb.
Terrell, before we let you go, got to ask about the Raiders. They host the Titans this week, which is basically a got-to-have-it game for Vegas after winning week 1. And Alex and I got our confirmation bias. Oh, the Raiders are better than the market says. No, they've just been a mess. We really thought, both of us thought, like, you got a quarterback in there, you got a new head coach in there who has experience, Super Bowl winning coach of Pete Carroll. And Terrell, this has been as nightmarish of a last 4-week stretch as anyone could have imagined for this Raider team.
And that's the perfect way to describe it, right? Nightmare is kind of probably the best way and safest way to describe it to this point. So you guys know a little bit about me. I grew up in Southern California, mm-hmm. right? So I grew up a USC fan. So I've been able to watch Pete Carroll very, very closely. This is my first time covering Pete Carroll, right? And in all of my years of watching Pete Carroll, I'm not sure that I've ever seen Pete look more confused than he has in the first 5 weeks of this NFL season. And I do that Pete is the football mind, is a type of football mind where he can figure it out here in Vegas. Even to his own admission, it's just taking a little bit longer than he expected. Now, I had the Raiders penciled in for 8 or 9 wins. Every week it looks more and more bleak at this point, but I still do have the Raiders penciled in for maybe 8 or 9 wins. That means that maybe Pete figures it out on the back end of the season. I am kind of with you that this is a must-win game for the Raiders. I think it's a must-win game in addition because the Raiders haven't performed well at home, and that's got to be a big thing for this group. We know how Raider Nation is. Raider Nation is going to be loud on Sunday. I'm going to be in the building on Sunday. The Raiders have to have this one.
You brought up not being great at home, and Geno Smith has really struggled at Allegiant to start the year. Now Colton Miller going down. What's his status, or how are you feeling about that O-line and moving forward?
And as a matter of fact, I haven't even heard anything about Colton. It may already be out there now, but I'll tell you what, this offensive line, and we've said it for a couple of years now, it just is going to have to go through the situations, and it's going to have to be put in those tough situations. It's going to have to be relied on. And to Pete Carroll's credit, he's highlighted. Let's go back to that Monday night game against the Chargers, right? All 3 of those interceptions by Geno Smith that were thrown, he had time. And 2 of those, he threw those maybe 50, 60 yards into the end zone. So the offensive line is protecting in the pass game, right? Doesn't necessarily always look that way in the run game, but if Ashton Genty, if you believe so much in him and you have so much belief and trust in what he can do for your offense, you have to rely on that offensive line. So I kind of mentioned it last year, I believe, maybe it was last year or 2 years ago when Zamir White originally took over. I said, are you guys ready for the 13 carries, the 34-yard type of games? But those are the games that you cannot stop feeding the guy that you believe is your bell cow.
He's Terrell Emerson. You can get him on the tweets at Sir_Chatterbox. Talk That Talk Media, where you can find his work across the Las Vegas Valley. Terrell, thank you for being with us this morning. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Always love catching up with our friend Terrell. Thanks for getting him here today, Alex. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we got baseball we got to get to. We also have some hockey.
That's right.
And we'll discuss that more when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is high stakes and wild cards. This is family and tradition. This is everything on the line. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now. LVMS.com.
We're back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. Happy to be with you. We got a few minutes left. Don't worry, we'll get ticker trivia brought to you by City Lights Shine a little bit later. Also, our poll question of the day, which will be actually, it's all about baseball, which is perfect because we're right here, right now. So let's begin. We'll go in rotation number order here. So we're a little bit out of order on the timing, but we'll start in the Bronx. Boy, it was 6-1 Toronto yesterday. And it's like, all right, well, I can't believe the Yankees. It got clobbered, and they went down without throwing Cam Schlitter at all in this series. Then the Yankees come from behind. They win 9-6, 8 unanswered. Aaron Judge, big 3-run homer. Jad Chisholm's solo homer in the 5th puts him up for good. And here you go. Cam Schlitter, off of his epic performance against Boston a week ago, will go for the Yankees. He's a -165 favorite. And then Alex, I don't know what Toronto is thinking here, especially after Savage was so dominant in Game 2. You can have him on regular rest, and Kevin Gausman on 3 days rest today. Instead, they're opting for a bullpen game after the bullpen had to chew up a lot of ground last night. I think this is nuts from Toronto and not putting your best foot forward here. I like the Yankees. I said it yesterday. You bet it on the whiteboard yesterday of 4-1 to win the season, to win this ALDS series. I think the Yankees are getting this thing back to Toronto. I don't love the price, but it would only be a look on the Bombers here tonight.
Well, I got to give you props because you pointed that out, and I thought that was a much better bet than having to lay that price with the Yankees yesterday and kind of thinking, oh, well, we'll let that future bet go. But now it's still live, and now they have one of their best rookie pitchers going here today. I am a little concerned because of the dominance we saw from him, 8 scoreless innings, allowing 5 hits, striking out 12 in that win over Boston. Now does it kind of sink in what he's really doing? I think he just went out there, was just playing ball, and now he maybe realizes the moment that he is in. But he's pitched well all year long, so I do think he can step up, and I do think the Yankees, now they have all the momentum, right? Kind of all of the air let out of the balloon for Toronto. So I like the Yankees too. I'm not going to touch it, but I do think that is the correct side, and I think that number is correct. They should be that big of a favorite here at home.
That was such a gut punch for Toronto. And by the way, Vlad's only hitting 700 in this series, and it just feels so precarious now where you had that lead, you destroyed Rodon, who did not have it yesterday, and here you are now in a bullpen game against a guy who seems more than ready for the moment, as he proved a week ago against Boston. All right. Game 3 went to Seattle yesterday. So now game 4, pick that up in Detroit. Tigers and M's. Big win for the Mariners. You had to get it back on. You had to get that 2-1 lead.
Yep.
Realistically speaking, it still kind of feels like Seattle needs to find a way to win this game today so they don't have to try to beat Skubal twice in 5 days.
Right.
Which is what it would end up being. But they have to throw Bryce Miller because of the injury to Brian Wu. Wu's not on the ALDS roster because of that injury. Against Casey Mize, this is essentially a pick at most shops. I expect both managers to be very quick with their hooks today on their starters. If Miller struggles, I would anticipate seeing a barrage in the bullpen from Seattle. It's a win or go home scenario for Detroit. We know A.J. Hinch will be willing to pull Mize quickly if it's not going well, which leads me, even with it being at 8.5, which leads me to the over here, Alex. I wish this was 8. But I still think we're good at 8.5 over on this one, even though that is a very high total for these two teams.
Hey, we were hesitant yesterday. 7.5 moved to 8 with Logan Gilbert and Flaherty, and 8-4 was the final. I think we're going to be good here going over 8.5 with these two. Bryce Miller, looking at his last 5 starts coming into this, gave up 4 to the Dodgers in 4, 5 2/3 against Colorado, gave up 3 earned runs, 3 earned runs to Kansas City, 4 to the Angels. And his best start, 5 starts ago against the Braves in Atlanta, gave up 2. I think we're going to see runs here from the Tigers. I like what you said on the other side with Hinch. I do think he'll pull Mize when needed. He might only see the rotation or the lineup once or twice, and that's what he did against Cleveland, and it worked out great. So I lean to the Tiger side. I think there is a big advantage with Casey Mize over Miller. But I'm not going to bet it. I'm just going to take the over here. But I do think the Tigers can force a game 5.
Plus 250. I think if you like the Tigers, I would just take that.
Here we go again.
Right here. I thought I was going to sneeze. Excuse me.
Because you're talking me into another future.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at plus 250 on Detroit.
If I have Skubal next.
Yeah, exactly. You have Skubal next. I don't care who's throwing for Seattle in game 5. Like, Skubal's going to be a road favorite. Or it's going to be a pick. So depends on what the pricing ends up being. See, I'm talking you into it. I'm sorry, Alex. All right, let's go to Chicago next. Cubbies and Brewers. Cubs season on the line. They're plus 550 to win this series. This is a series price I cannot advocate for. Priester, who is the Brewers just win when Priester pitches.
Yes.
Even though they didn't win his last regular season start. Basically pick again. 6.5 on the total. Tyone didn't go long in game 3 of this wild card series, but pitched well. By the way, the Cubs have now gone 10 straight postseason games with not scoring more than 3 runs. I don't know, Alex. Wind's blowing in again.
Yeah.
I do think it's a lean to over at 6.5 because it's felt like that they've been a little backwards, even though all 3 wild card games did go under. I'm staying off of this, though. I think this is a total stay off here.
I think there's enough wind that you probably want to stay off the total, too, in my opinion, because we've got a ground ball pitcher and then we've got a fly ball pitcher that it's going to benefit them with the wind blowing in on both sides. I think Jameson Taillon is a perfect person to have come in here and steal one from the Brewers. I like the Cubs today. Looking at it's a small sample size, but since coming back from injury, Jameson Taillon's been excellent. He's only given up 2 earned runs once against the Braves, and then he had a scoreless against the Pirates, 1 against the Reds, and 1 against St. Louis. going 6 or 7 innings in those starts. So as much as I like Quinn Priester, which leads me a little bit to the under here, but I don't love going under 6.5. So I'm probably going to stay off of that, but I do like the Cubbies today.
Yeah, I'm just staying completely off on this one.
Maybe it's a 3.5 for me in that first 5.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I like that better.
Let's go to Dodger Stadium next. Dodgers look to finish it off. And I'm perplexed on what the Phillies are doing, throwing Aaron Nola instead of Ranger Suarez in a gotta-have-it game. Boy, I
Ranger Suarez will be following.
Yeah, but still, like, just
I guess
I'm not a huge
Aaron
fan.
Nola's never come out of the bullpen, so they couldn't do it the other way.
I don't know. It just, you're asking to be down 3-0 after 1. Like, that's just kind of where my head's at with that. Minus 175 on the Dodgers, total 7.5. I expect the Dodgers to wrap this thing tonight. I just think that price is a little too steep for my liking.
To your point, even looking back at Aaron Nola, because I was thinking, he's got a lot of experience, but hasn't been great in the postseason. So while I hope he can come out there and pitch a few good innings, I'm not going to touch this one. I lean to the over as well. I think we're going to see runs from both sides. The Phillies can hit righties. They really can, but Yamamoto's been on a different level as of late. So this is a tough one. I'm just going to stay off of it. But we will definitely see Ranger Suarez as soon as things get a little dicey for Nola.
Just don't, especially with Suarez. Like, I'm not a fan of what Philly's doing here. I would have just let Suarez start the game, and it doesn't matter. Nola's never pitched out of the pen.
Yeah.
I just would go with it. Again, I think you're asking to be down 3-0 after 1 with doing this.
After 1 inning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's tough.
Like, I think you're asking to be down quickly in this game with, excuse me, starting Nola. All right, let's go to some hockey real quick, Alex, before we get out of here today. Starting north of the border, Montreal, Toronto. First games for both of these teams. Maple Leafs minus 165, plus 145 on the Canadiens, and a total of 6.
Okay, let me make sure I have my hockey sheet up here. Switch it out for the baseball. Really just notes. I still don't have my actual numbers. I got to get my PC and get those automated here. But Sam Montembeau, you said that for the Canadiens. We know he was injured late. Demidov is the favorite right now for Rookie of the Year for Montreal. We saw a little bit from him last year, came over from the Russian League. It's going to be interesting, right, with Toronto. Is it going to be addition by subtraction without Mitch Marner? Does that make Austin Matthews step up more, even though he had a down year last year, but was dealing with injury for most of the year? So no play for me. I think 165 is a little steep because Montreal was very competitive and went on that long run last year, and I think they can be competitive in this one, but nothing jumps out to me in this.
Let's go to D.C. next. Caps, Bruins. We talked about it yesterday. It's going to be a long year for Boston, it looks like, on the surface. They're huge underdogs today. Minus 190 on the Caps, plus 170 on the Bruins, and a total of 5.5 in a game that has not moved here at the South Point, Alex.
And I am I'm kind of interested in that 5.5 going under. I think you got 2 really good goalies going, Logan Thompson and Jeremy Swayman. Now, it'll be interesting because Swayman, with the contract deals before the season last year, ended up having the worst year of his career. And it's really because he didn't ever get into midseason form there with them and get into the flow. So I expect him to come out and have a good first game here, even though I love the Capitals. We know they can score, but I'm leaning to the under here between these two.
Let's go to Edmonton. The chase to finally break the Canadian stretch of no cup more than likely leads through the Oilers yet again. Minus 220 tonight against their Alberta friends of Calgary. Minus 220 on the Oilers, plus 190 on the Flames.
Well, I think that number is way too big here for Edmonton for game 1. Calgary, we know that they had a down year, but Dustin Wolf on the goalie for them is kind of underrated. Right now, he's 15-1, even for the Vezina. So that just tells you where the market is with him, but not a lot of chatter about him. Stuart Skinner on the other side, we never know with him. We've seen greatness, and we've seen some rough starts from him. So I think the better goalie is with the Flames. So that leads me to the dog here.
Can't really blame you. That's a big price.
Yeah.
Second biggest price on the board today. Boy, this is really, or third biggest price, I should say. This is brutal for the LA Kings. They have to play late last night. They get beat up by Colorado, and now they come here to Vegas to take on the Golden Knights, who are playing their first game of the year. $2 favorites with VGK at home and a total of 6, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say besides it's a back-to-back for the Kings, and that puts them already behind the 8 ball, and you can see the number here. I think that number's correct. Antoine Forsberg, he came over from Ottawa. He will be the backup for Darcy Kemper now for the Kings. He will, as far as I know, that's what I saw. He was projected to get the start here, and Aiden Hill on the other side. So nothing for me. If anything, I think I'd take a shot with the Knights puck line, going up against a team that just had to play late last night.
Brutal. You have the whole league who hasn't played, and you're making the Kings play back-to-back? Like, whatever, for both of our shirts, we know where our allegiances are, but that's kind of nonsense. That even just I know they want the better game for television, but send Dallas out here?
Yeah.
Send
great.
Send Winnipeg down? Like, there's so many other options here tonight. All right, Alex, we'll let you get your whiteboard set up here, but let's look at what we got. What do I have in front of me? I have strawberry banana. This is strawberry banana, right? Strawberry banana, City Light Shine. Of course, big week here in Vegas. South Point 400 gets going. Festivities throughout the weekend up at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, including Brendan Gaughan and Jeff Motley will be taping Gone Racing from there tomorrow. Be on the lookout for that. Very exciting if you happen to be in those neck of the woods tomorrow. Of course, Brendan's nice NASCAR suit is behind me that you can't on a different angle. So City Light Shine, of course, brings you ticker trivia every single day. And on this date in 1957, Walter O'Malley, the most reviled guy in Brooklyn, announced that the Dodgers would be relocating from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. Which venue did the Dodgers play their first game in L.A. for the following season, and who did they open with for that location? They, of course, played at the Coliseum. Looked ridiculous for baseball, as you would expect. Now, look at that picture, Alex. Look how ridiculous the L.A. Memorial Coliseum will look. Look at how ridiculous left field looks. I mean, that is insane.
Oh my
Not
God.
quite the all-star race that was there for NASCAR the last few years, but that is insane. They, of course, played the newly minted San Francisco Giants in the opener. O'Malley knew that he needed 2 teams out there, and it worked. Of course, the Giants and the Dodgers still out there, out on the West Coast. And we'll tell you, and Vince, good little tidbit here, that the phrase moonshot actually comes from Wally Moon, who played outfield for the Dodgers and perfected that short porch in left field. So there you go. That's how we got the moonshot, even though now it's a little bit of a difference because moonshot means it's an absolutely long home run. That is just get it over that short porch in left field. All right, poll question here today. Which starting pitcher extends their series tonight? Yankees with Schlitter, Mize for the Tigers, Tyone for the Cubs, and Aaron Nola for the Phils. And Schlitter, not quite a majority, but a big plurality today at 46%. And Aaron Nola comes in second, a little bit surprised on that. I guess the bet on the Phillies more so than anything at 23% here tonight. All right, Alex.
Sorry, I'm ready.
We kind of shoved it all in at the end here because guest-laden show here on a Wednesday morning.
Oh, which does remind me, Terrell did say he was leaning to the Aces tonight.
He was.
4.5 is pretty tempting because I like how he said that first to 4 is that mentality for that team coming into this one. So lean to the Aces. I also like the Cubs, but I feel like they burned me more times than not, so I'm going to stay off of that series. Mariners, Tigers, we're going over 8.5 here. Bryce Miller, Casey Mize on the bump. I think we're going to see runs from both sides. Half a unit on the Tigers at plus 250. That was the correct number, right, Jeff?
Yep.
Take a little bit of that. If the Tigers win today, they will have Tariq Skubal on the bump. Calgary Flames. I'm going to take a little bit here. Now, these are half unit right now with hockey as we're getting into the swing of things. Flames, puck line, plus 1.5, minus 130. I think Dustin Wolf can help keep this a lower scoring game and keep them in it. Bruins and Caps. I'm going to go first period under 1.5. Is that right? Let me double check.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're good.
Make sure I don't have a weird number. Probably just have to lay a little price.
You know, I will say for last night, obviously that first game, wild over in the first period, and Middleton doesn't get there. Rangers have problems.
Yes.
Arthur Seelovs was awesome last night for the Penguins. And then Colorado's really good. We knew that already, though. The Avs, and again, they have one. This group has one cup. The hope there is they at least get another 2. They're definitely loaded up. It's just a question in the net more so than anything.
I do have them number 1 right now.
You have them number 1?
Yeah.
I can't really fault you on that.
No.
Heading into the long season ahead here in the NHL, which, of course, we have the Olympic break, part of the reason that we're as early as we are this year.
Stuck up on us.
All right. That's what we got. We happy to be here as always. We're back tomorrow. You, me, Kaluch on the show, Alex, to get us ready for the weekend ahead in football. Of course, on Friday, we have 2 shows. Alex and I are here at 10 and then at noon for Football Frenzy on a Friday. I promise I'll be here this week. Hopefully no more illness, to say the very least. Chris, Vinny will all be here on Friday as well. She's Alex. I'm Jeff. Big shout out to Sean, Ann, and Vince in studio here today. We're back tomorrow, 10 a.m. right here, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.